In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make the calculations for the Elmo of Beans lab. So let's get started. Alright, so you have a handout here. On the back of the handout is a data table. And so I want to show you how to do the navy bean calculations. Okay, so a couple things before we get started here. Don't forget to subtract the mass of the bag. You're going to get 100 beans. We're saying that 100 beans is called an Elmo, and we need to figure out the mass of that quote-unquote Elmo, that made-up unit. So we don't want to get the mass of the bag, involved, because that's going to confuse our numbers. Also, when we measure out the cup, the mass of our unknown, in this case, navy beans, I don't want you to forget to subtract the mass of the cup, because that's going to throw us off. Okay, so the mass of the bag and the 100 beans was 20.6 grams. I'm going to subtract the mass of the bag. It's 2.8 grams. And when you do that, it's 17.8 grams per Elmo. Notice how my units are grams over Elmo. That's very important. Okay, for my unknown beans, I've got 75.6 grams. I'm going to subtract the mass of the cup, and I get 69.4 grams. Okay, so here's the point now. How can we take these numbers and figure out not only the number of Elmos, but also the number of beans in the cup? Remember what our research question is. How can we estimate an unknown number of beans without actually counting them? So if we know a couple of pieces of information, we can figure that information out. So let me show you the math involved here. Let me just clear this off and rewrite my data. In chemistry math, we always start off with a known and unknown table. For me, I always start off with what I don't know. Let's do the number of Elmos first. It's that next column to the right of 69.4 grams. So what I'm looking for in that is number of Elmos. That's my unknown. That's my unit of my unknown. So I'm going to write that down in my unknown table. I'm looking for a number that ends in Elmos. Well, what do I know? I know some information. I know there's 17.8 grams per Elmo. I also know that there's 69.4 grams. So in my cup, how many Elmos do I have? I'm going to write out the pieces of information that I know. I know that there's 17.8 grams per Elmo. I also know that there's 69.4 grams. Okay, well, what do we do next? I'm looking for a unit that ends in Elmos, and so I look on the left on my known column, and I look for that unit. I see it right there. Now here's the problem. That Elmo on the left here is on the bottom of our fraction. So all we have to do is just take the reciprocal and flip it. It's just that simple. I'm allowed to put the Elmo on top. I just flipped my fraction upside down. I want to end in Elmos, so I make sure that the Elmo is the unit on the top. Okay, now I've got to cancel out these grams here. We're going to multiply these fractions together. I need to cancel out the grams. So I look over my known side and I look for grams. Hey, there's one, 69.4 grams. So if I write out that fraction as my next fraction here, I'm able to say, well, gram over gram cancels, and I'm left with just Elmos. That's what I want. Okay. So we work from the top down here. So I'm going to write this out again. So Elmo times 69.4. Remember the gram over gram cancels, so those are gone. Over 17.8. When I put this into the calculator, I'm going to work from the top down. 69.4 divide sign 17.8 will give me about 3.9 Elmos. And I'm going to write that into my data table. Okay, so now I have some more information here, and I need to calculate the number of beans in a cup. Let me just erase real quick, make some more room. So I'm looking for a number of beans in my cup. That's my unknown. So I'm going to write that down in my unknown area. One thing I know is that there are 3.9 Elmos. We just calculated that in the navy bean cup. And I also know that there's 100 beans per Elmo. So my unknown is beans. I'm looking for beans, so I'm going to look at the fractions on the left, the units on the left, and I'm looking for beans as my unit. There it is. It's 100 beans per Elmo. So that's going to be my first fraction. I'll write that out. Okay, I've got to cancel out those Elmos now, right? So I look over on the left, the known side. I'm looking for a unit that will cancel out Elmos. There it is. It's 3.9 Elmos. I'll write that in. Notice how Elmo over Elmo cancels out. And now I can kind of simplify. 100 beans times 3.9 is equal to 390 beans. I can write that right into my, my data table, and I'm all done. So to answer the question, how can we estimate an unknown number of beans without actually counting them? We can do it with a little math. Pretty simple. Watch the video again if you need to see how to do the calculations. In fact, all of the calculations are going to be the same. The only thing that will be different, though, are the numbers that you get when you measure. I'll see you soon.